A responsible gun owner. Valid CCW permit. 5 years of carrying without a single issue. Then one Tuesday afternoon, he walks into a building he's been to dozens of times before. 20 minutes later, he was handcuffs and felony charges. His entire life turned upside down. So what did he do wrong? If you carry concealed, there's a very real chance you're breaking the law right now, and you have absolutely no idea. I'm not talking about criminals. I'm talking about you and law-abiding gun owners who think they're doing everything right. Here's what we're covering today. So, I'm going to reveal 5 concealed carry laws that even experienced permit holders violate every single day, and here's the kicker: one of these is so common, I'd bet money you've broken it in the last 30 days. Maybe even last week. Stick around especially for number 3. This one shocks people every single time, and it's probably the most dangerous misconception out there. And that guy I mentioned early, the one who got arrested after 5 years of legal carry. I'm going to tell you exactly what he did wrong and how to make absolutely sure it never happens to you. Trust me, you need to hear this story. Let's dive in. Before we get into the specific laws, you need to understand something critical. Your CCW permit is not a free pass to carry anywhere, anytime. I know. You took the class. You passed the background check. You got that card in your wallet. But here's the scary truth. That permit comes with a massive list of rules, restrictions, and legal landmines that most people never fully understand. And the consequences? They're not just a slap on the wrist. So, we're talking about criminal charges that could mean jail time, losing your permit permanently, losing your right to own firearms, period, a felony record that destroys your career, tens of thousands in legal fees. Think about that for a second. One mistake, one location you didn't know was off limits, one law you didn't know existed, and your life as you know it is over. Now, before you think, I'm careful, this won't happen to me. Remember that guy from the intro? He thought the exact same thing. He was careful. He followed the rules. Or at least, he thought he did. So let me ask you, do you know every single place you're not allowed to carry? Do you know what happens when you cross state lines? Do you know the exact legal BAC limit for carrying in your state, or if there even is one? If you hesitated on any of those questions, keep watching, because ignorance of the law is not a defense in court. The judge doesn't care that you didn't know. Alright, let's get into these 5 laws that trip people up constantly. Number 1, gun-free zones. And I'm not just talking about the obvious ones. Can you legally carry in a post office parking lot? What about inside a church? How about a private business with a no-gun sign on the door? If you hesitated or guessed on any of those, you're not alone. Gun-free zones are probably the most confusing aspect of concealed carry law because they're everywhere, and the rules change depending on where you are. Let's start with federal gun-free zones. These apply to everyone, everywhere in the United States. Any federal building or courthouse, any K-12 school property, buildings and grounds within 1,000 feet, post offices, even the parking lot in many cases. Military bases. These are non-negotiable. Your state permit doesn't override federal law. But then you've got state-specific gun-free zones, and this is where it gets messy. Some states prohibit carry-in. Government buildings, hospitals, and mental health facilities. Polling places on election day. Public parks or recreational areas. Any establishment that serves alcohol. And here's where people get really confused. Private property signs. You see that no guns allowed sign on a business door. Can they legally stop you? The answer, it depends on your state. In some states like Texas, Florida, or Michigan, those signs carry the full force of law. If you ignore the sign and carry anyway, you're committing a criminal offense even if nobody knows you're armed. But in other states like Virginia or Arizona, those signs are just suggestions. The business can ask you to leave, and if you refuse, then you're trespassing. But the sign itself isn't a law. See how complicated this gets? Here's the bottom line. You need to know your state's specific rules on signage, and you need to know what locations are prohibited by state law versus federal law. Because walking into the wrong building with your firearm, even concealed, even with a permit, can get you arrested. Alright, number 2, carrying while under the influence. And this one catches people off guard constantly. Here's the scenario. You're out to dinner. You have one beer. Just one. Your gun is on your hip. Are you breaking the law? The answer might surprise you, and it depends entirely on which state you're in. Some states have zero tolerance laws. I mean literally zero. If you have any detectable amount of alcohol in your system, you cannot legally carry a firearm. Period. States like Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia fall into this category. Other states use a BAC limit, similar to drunk driving laws. Maybe it's 0.08%, maybe it's 0.05%, maybe it's something else. But until you hit that threshold, you're technically legal. But here's what nobody tells you, and this is huge. It's not just alcohol. If you're carrying while impaired by any substance, you can be charged. That includes marijuana, even in states where it's legal recreationally or medically, prescription medications that cause drowsiness or impairment, even over-the-counter medications in some cases, CBD products that might contain trace amounts of THC. Let me say that again. You could be taking a legally prescribed medication from your doctor, and if that medication impairs you in any way, you could be committing a crime by carrying your firearm. I've seen stories of people getting charged because they took their prescribed anxiety medication or pain medication and went about their day concealed. They had no idea they were breaking the law. So here's the rule you need to follow. If you're consuming anything that could impair your judgment, reaction time, or decision-making, don't carry. It's that simple. Because if you ever have to use your firearm in self-defense, and there's any substance in your system, the prosecution is going to use that against you. Even if the shoot was 100% justified, they'll argue you were impaired and made a reckless decision. Don't give them that ammunition. Okay, this is number 3. This is the one I promised you, the mistake that gets more CCW holders arrested than almost anything else. And this is where I'm going to start telling you what happened to that guy from the beginning. Reciprocity. You're driving through another state. Road trip, visiting family, whatever. You have your CCW permit. Everything's locked up. Everything's legal in your home state. But depending on which state you're driving through, you could still end up in prison. Here's what people don't understand. Your permit is only valid in states that have a reciprocity agreement with your state. And reciprocity is not universal. For example, if you have a Florida permit, it's recognized in about 36 states. Pretty good, right? But if you drive into New York, Illinois, or California, that permit means absolutely nothing. You're now in illegal possession of a firearm. And even in states with reciprocity, the laws might be completely different. Maybe your home state doesn't require you to inform police during a traffic stop, but the state you're visiting does. Maybe your state allows you to carry in restaurants that serve alcohol, but this state doesn't. You're expected to know and follow the laws of whatever state you're in, not your home state laws, their laws. Now here's where it gets even worse. Even if you're not carrying, just transporting your firearm through certain states can get you arrested. There's something called the Firearms Owners Protection Act, or FOPA. It's a federal law that's supposed to protect you when you're traveling through states with strict gun laws as long as the firearm is unloaded. It's locked in a container. It's not accessible from the passenger compartment. You're just passing through, not stopping to stay. Sounds good, right? But here's the problem. Some states I am looking at you, New York and New Jersey, don't always honor FOPA. They've arrested people at rest stops, at gas stations, anywhere they can. And that guy from the inn. Number 4, duty to inform during police encounters. You get pulled over for speeding. The officer walks up to your window. Do you tell him you're carrying? If you said yes, you might be right. If you said no, you might also be right. It depends on your state. Some states legally require you to immediately inform any law enforcement officer that you're armed. States like Ohio, Louisiana, North Carolina, and about a dozen others have duty to inform laws. If you're in one of these states and you don't tell the officer, you're committing a crime. Even if the officer never finds out you were carrying, you broke the law the moment you didn't disclose. Other states don't require you to inform unless the officer specifically asks. And some states have no law. Either way, it's up to you. But here's my advice. Regardless of your state law, always inform, even if it's not required. Why? Because if that officer discovers you're armed and you didn't tell them, the situation just got 10 times more tense and dangerous. They're going to wonder what else you're hiding. They're going to be on edge. And you've just made a routine traffic stop way more complicated. Now, here's the critical part. How you inform matters just as much as if you inform. Here's what you do not do. Do not reach for your wallet or permit. Do not reach toward where your gun is. Do not use the word gun first thing. Here's what you do. Keep your hands visible on the steering wheel. When the officer approaches, calmly say, "Officer, before we go any further, I want to let you know I have a valid concealed carry permit, and I am currently armed. How would you like me to proceed?" Notice what you did there. You disclosed immediately. You made it clear you're legal. You kept your hands visible. You asked for instructions. This approach works. It keeps everyone safe, and it shows the officer you're responsible and compliant. Number 5, prohibited locations you'd never expect. Would you believe me if I told you that in some states, carrying in a hospital is a felony? What about your kid's soccer game at the local park? Or even a private business parking lot? These are the sneaky ones. The places you'd never think twice about, but where carrying could get you in serious trouble. Let's run through some of the most commonly overlooked prohibited locations. Bars and restaurants that serve alcohol. Some states ban carry in any establishment that serves alcohol, even if you're not drinking. Other states only ban it if alcohol sales are the primary business. And some states allow it entirely. Know your state's rules. Hospitals and medical facilities. Many states prohibit carry in hospitals, mental health facilities, or nursing homes. Even if there's no sign, it might be illegal. Places of worship. Some states require permission from the church or religious institution before you can carry there. If you don't have explicit permission, you're breaking the law. Sporting events and stadiums. Most professional and collegiate sporting venues prohibit firearms, and it's often backed by state law, not just a private policy. Airports. Obviously, you can't carry past security, but in some states, you can't even have a gun in your locked car in the airport parking lot. School zones. Remember, school zones means within 1,000 feet of school property. That's a massive area. If you live near a school or drive past one regularly, you need to be aware of this. The point is this: just because a place isn't posted with a sign doesn't mean you're allowed to carry it there. If you're subscribed to this channel, hit that like button right now. We break down these gun laws every single week to keep you legal and protected. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for?